Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Neurotic Mom, and today's going to be a really fun video tutorial. I'm going to show you a lot of the tips, tricks, and hacks that I have learned over the years in the kitchen that is just, some of them are going to be like mind-blowing, my gosh, why didn't I think of that? And some are just going to be super helpful while you're baking or cooking in your kitchen. So let's get started. All right, number one, I am just sure that every single one of you have had this problem many times over. It's the shell that gets into the mix. I'm gonna try to really bang this shell up so I can break it so you can see. Perfect, okay. So there's like two little tiny shell pieces, and you know how when you try to get it with your thumb and finger, it just slides away, you can never get it? If you get this part of the shell and you go to just kind of scoop it, it'll stick to the shell and you can just kind of lift it out like that. I don't know why that works, but it does. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick, and I'm not gonna dry off because I have heard that if you have a really wet finger and you go in, you can usually grab it pretty easy, and I did. So super simple one, maybe you've already heard of it, maybe you haven't, but that's gonna save your dough if you get some shell in there. All right, this one's really fun, and I didn't learn this one for a long time. So it's called torting. Like if I'm going to tort a cake layer, it means I'm going to take one layer and cut it in half. And I used to just get a serrated knife and do that. It's not perfect. You can buy an expensive tool that will level them, but if you don't have the expensive tool, don't want to buy it, magic, you get floss. I've done this with cinnamon roll dough all the time, but I've never done it with a cake. And the great thing about the floss is you can kind of adjust and make sure it's right in the center and make sure it's even before you're going to cross the ends and pull it through. And we're just going to pull, and that floss, look at that, is just going to go right through. And then I can get rid of that, and then you have a perfectly torted, I don't know if that's a word, but to tort a cake is, oh, that's like perfect. So if you want those really thin but perfectly identical layers, that's the way to go. You don't have to buy an expensive tool, and I bet you have this in your bathroom. All right, another very common problem, the brown sugar. If you don't seal it just right, over time, it's eventually going to dry out. I have some really dry brown sugar here that I got out several hours ago just so I can show you how to freshen that back up. But if you want to keep brown sugar fresh, this is gonna sound crazy, but it works. So to prevent the problem altogether, they have the resealable bags that you could probably keep it in, but these don't have the seal, so I just wanted to use a baggie. Believe it or not, a couple marshmallows in with the brown sugar will keep it fresh and soft. I've also heard that a piece of bread in there will work too, but I just thought the marshmallow method was fun, but a piece of fresh bread will also work. Okay, now what do we do when we're in the middle of a recipe and it calls for brown sugar, you go to get it and it's rock hard. So frustrating. I've got this in a microwave safe bowl, and I'm going to get some paper towels, and I've just made them damp, and I'm gonna put this over the brown sugar, and I'm going to microwave for 20 seconds, stirring in between until it's completely softened back up. Okay, so I did 40 seconds stirring at the 20-second mark. That is soft as soft can be. Totally restored, so it's usable again. There you go. All right, let's say you're not a fantastic decorator, pie maker, whatever, but you want to make a pretty pie for Thanksgiving or whatever, and you want a pretty decorative edge. So if you find that pinching technique is difficult for you, let me show you an easy way to make a decorative pie crust, and you really don't need any skills. The first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of roll the crust under so it's right at the edge of the pan. And now you're just going to take a basic pair of tongs with the little scallop design here. They're not dirty, that's just like from dishwasher or something. And you're just gonna use this very tip right here. I kind of pull it to the edge so I can get it in there, and you're just gonna press. And you have this decorative little design. Everyone can do this, it's not difficult. And it looks really cool. Okay, I'm kind of rushing because I want to show you the finished. But obviously take your time, make it nice and pretty. Ta-da! There you go. Pretty pie crust ready for that pumpkin pie filling or whatever kind of pie you are going to make. Have you ever had a recipe where you have to measure out some honey or molasses or syrup or anything kind of that consistency? I never know if I should overfill it a little bit for the residual that gets left at the bottom, or if I should just get my finger and try to swipe it out. You know what I mean, you've all done it. So I'm gonna show you 2 different ways to measure out this kind of consistency ingredient into both wet ingredients and dry ingredients. So just for the sake of a visual, I have just some water over here. Like a lot of honey or molasses goes into salad dressings. So I've got water here and I've got flour here. So if you are measuring the honey into some wet ingredients, you can either get oil or some cooking spray and just generally spray that on, or generously spray that on, and it should all slide right out. Look at that. Perfect. So you know you had exactly 1 tablespoon. Now the second way into dry ingredients, and this is just brilliant, kind of level out your dry ingredients. Now you're gonna take this and you're gonna press all the way down into those dry ingredients to make exactly a tablespoon full. And then all you have to do is pour the honey until it reaches level with the flour. And then you know you have the exact, now with the tablespoon, if there's a little bit over and under, it doesn't really matter, but if you are measuring larger amounts, half cup or whatever, just do the same thing. You can press the measuring cup down in there, but then you know you have the exact measurement correct. Let's say you're in a hurry, you hate making buttercream, for whatever reason, you just need some frosting that tastes good really, really quick. Well, I'm gonna show you how to make this basic container of just store-bought frosting so much better, and so much, you can actually double the amount, believe it or not. Let me show you. So I'm gonna take this. I mean, it tastes fine, right? But it definitely tastes store-bought a little bit. And I feel like the consistency is just so hard to pipe or spread on a cake. Like a sheet cake, yeah, it's just kind of spread it around, but if you want to do any piping or covering a round cake, there's just no way. So I'm gonna get that all out first, and I'm gonna take some real vanilla, and I'm just gonna put a splash in there, because real vanilla just enhances anything. And then believe it or not, you are going to get like a pinch of salt. And all that does, you can't taste the salt, doesn't make it salty. It cuts the sweetness, and it also enhances flavors of almost everything. So salt is your friend, vanilla is your friend. And you need a hand mixer or a stand mixer, because this is the cool part. Don't look how old my hand mixer is. I got it as a wedding gift. Can you believe that? I'm a baker, and this is the same hand mixer I've had for 28 years. Hey, but it's a good brand, lasts. Now, I want you to look closely at the amount we have here, okay? Not very much, just enough to fit in this container. I'm going to get my hand mixer and I'm gonna whip it on high, medium high, for several minutes, 2-3 minutes, and watch what happens. All right, that's good enough. All right, this is so cool. Come on. Okay, now look at this. Remember the amount that I showed you before? So what you've done is you've just beat a whole bunch of air into this frosting, and it's going to double in size. And yes, it will go further on your cakes or cupcakes than if you just had it straight from the jar here, the container here. So I'm even gonna scrape the sides down so you can see how much more there is than there was in the beginning. And the texture is better, it's lighter, and with that salt and vanilla added, it does definitely improve your store-bought frosting. Okay, anyone knows that if you cut an apple up, within 5 minutes it starts to brown? But I like my kids to have fruit in their lunches, and apples are so easy. But if you do this, I also like to cut a whole bunch of apples up in advance, put them in some baggies, and put them in the fridge, and they're so easy to just grab and eat. So let me show you a trick. I just think for little grade schoolers, they're just so much easier to eat in slices rather than the whole apple. Like with my 5th grader who has literally lost like 5 teeth in the last 2 weeks, it's hard to eat. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna slice these into pieces for their lunch or for a snack later. Because if you cut them up and just put them in the baggie, by lunchtime they're brown and they're not gonna eat them. So I am going to get some lemon juice. You can get real lemons or just this from the store. This is real lemon juice, it's just pre-squeezed for you. I'm gonna get some lemon juice and I'm going to you're gonna get a pastry brush and brush it on there, and it lasts for days. They will not start turning brown for days. I've experimented with this. I do it all the time. My husband grabs a bag before work, he loves it. So I'm just gonna get a pastry brush and brush this on. But the pastry brush thing leads me to my next hack. What if you don't have a pastry brush? I think this is so smart. I've got some parchment paper here, and I'm going to grab some scissors, and I'm just gonna fold it into at least 4 pieces. But I'm just gonna cut strips at the bottom here, and ta-da, we have instant pastry brush. Let me show you. Let's get a little bit of lemon juice in here. And we'll just go ahead and brush our apples with, oh yeah, that works great, with the pastry brush. And because it's the parchment, the paper doesn't get soggy. And then I'll just turn it over and do the other side. And then I will throw these in this baggie, put them in the fridge for my son's lunch tomorrow, and they will be good to go. And then easy cleanup, just throw it in the garbage. All right, this one is so random, but I've learned this. My mom did this every time she couldn't open a jar. And yes, there's lots of tricks like get a rubber band and put it, but that just takes more time. Put it under hot water, then you gotta dry it completely dry so you can get the good grip. But if you can't open a jar, see, like that is hard to open. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, like at an angle, kind of like that, I'm just gonna hit it on my rug really hard. Boom. That was so easy to open. Isn't it the weirdest thing? Boom. That was so easy to open. Isn't it the weirdest thing? I'll do it again so you can see. I can't get enough like the right leverage. You have to do it on the floor for whatever reason, but I've got another jar here that's really hard to open. And so I'm just gonna go, and it's just like, you can even hear it unseal. Like, I don't know why it works, but it does. Or if it's slippery, your hands are a little bit lotiony or greasy and you can't open it. See, I legit can't open it. And then it just pops off. So I don't know if that one will help you or not, but man, it has helped me many times, and I don't have to go find my husband and have him do it, or get a rubber band or run it under hot water. That takes 2 seconds and it was easy to open. So I like that one. All right, that wraps up our tutorial for today. I hope some of these hacks will be helpful for you in the future. Don't forget, I have a free workshop that you can sign up for. The link is below, and it has all my tips and tricks of what I've learned along the way of how to make beautiful cakes.